Here we go. Welcome everyone this morning to Tuesday morning to Having the Talk Live with me. If we have not met yet before, my name's Jessica. I'm a desire and an intimacy coach, sex educator. I'm a wife. I'm a mother. I'm plus size. I'm babbling, and I tend to do that quite a lot. And I'm really excited about bringing on my speaker to chat with me today. And I'm going to let her introduce herself. In the meantime, if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, I will ask if you do that. We are going to be doing more interviews of this kind of style, and there'll be more content coming out like crazy very soon because I'm going to be focusing on YouTube. So please do go over and make sure you subscribe there. So without further ado, I will be bringing on Frances. Let's bring you on. Welcome. Hello.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you?
How are you?
Good, thanks. Good. It's beautiful weather here, in Ireland, so I can't complain.
Exactly. No, I think it's raining here still. I think it's just constantly raining in the south down here.
We get a lot of rain normally, so this is unusual.
So, welcome. Thank you for taking the time and coming on to the show. And let's introduce yourself. Who is Frances?
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me. So my name is Frances Kelleher, and I'm a dating expert from the southwest of Ireland, the rainy southwest. And my passion is helping people find the right person for them. So it's mainly women I help. I'm primarily a woman's coach, but the same amount of men come to me as well. So I help both sexes. And, this just came up, like my passion came from hearing about the loneliness epidemic. You heard of it, Jessica, yourself, even before the pandemic ever happened, the COVID pandemic. There's a loneliness epidemic in the world. So that really, fueled me to go down this route and niche into this area. So that's how I became a dating coach.
There's such and I talk about it a little bit in the work that I do, in the sense of it's that tribe mentality that we are meant to be part of a tribe, aren't we? We're not really meant to do anything really in our lives alone. I've spoken about it about raising children, and single mums have it really hard when they're going through this process, but we're not really, that's not how we're designed. That's not how our culture should be, is it? That's
exactly it. Yeah. You're right, Jessica. And as well, like I started off as a life coach, and like I say, how I niched into this was I could see, we were chasing the wrong things. People in general were chasing the career, we're chasing the money. And, women, my clients have come to me and they've said, I have everything. I have the house, I have the money, I can buy whatever shoes I want, I have the career, but I've no one to share it with. So there's that huge aspect, like, no man is an island, like you're saying, that really hits home. And we've even seen now with the COVID epidemic, the COVID pandemic, excuse me, that's what people want. They wanted to be in lockdown with someone. They, people that were lonely, my clients who even came to me said, I was lonely before this happened, but now I'm acutely lonely and I don't want to be in another lockdown on my own again, So this has really heightened the awareness of what brings humans happiness, and it's their relationships and, who's in their life. That's the quality of life, and that's what people want now. That's what makes their life, fulfilled, is the relationships and the people in it.
But it must be quite hard. I mean, you're going to be able to talk about this, much better than I can. I always say that I've been with my partner since I was 17. We got married like very young. I haven't had to go through that dating cycle at all. And in fact, the idea of it scares me. If anything were to happen, the whole idea of it just seems so overwhelming now. It's not a case if you went to school with someone or you went to public. The story just seems so complicated now, right?
You're so right, Jessica. And I mean, you would think that things are getting easier with the amount of technology, the amount of dating apps. There's a new dating app coming on the scene, every week. You think that would make it easier to connect. It's actually making it harder. The amount of men and women, both sexes, because sometimes the women think, oh, it's just the women that feel this way, but it's not, that have come to me and said, I don't want to be online. I don't want to online date. I want to meet somebody in real life. So it's actually, becoming more elusive, and people are finding it harder to meet people. And of course, we're meeting people older. We're older now when we're meeting people. Before, it used to be in our 20s, people would get married. Now people have their careers, they're leaving it late till their 30s. And, the pool gets smaller as you get older. That's just fact. So you're 100% right. It is becoming, more difficult.
I think as well, when you have like all this, like the background that comes with it as well as you get older, isn't it? Those life experiences. I talk about these life experiences going that I want to go, they're amazing. They help us kind of create like this person and who we are, and we have to take it in, and life experience are really important. But then, when you go into, dating or new situations with actually all this past experience, perhaps even a relationship that's, caused a lot of pain from, and then especially children as well, that become part of this package that's no longer just, a carefree 18-year-old, perhaps, that kind of thing. So, yeah, I mean, do you work with a lot of people in that space that kind of go?
Yes. And as well, Jessica, especially what's come to my attention recently is, a lot of divorced people are, that the first relationship hasn't worked out, or whatever situation it is. And like you're saying, we come with baggage and things like that, are talking about how hard it is to trust again when that trust is broken. So what I'd say to those people is, first of all, don't let anybody take your trust. That's on them. That's their mistake. Don't take that on your back. Like I say, my friend used to always say, keep the monkeys off your back. So that's one monkey you don't want on your back. Just look at it like that was them. Most people are decent, in fairness. So that's my experience through life. Most people are, genuine. They're trying to do the right by people. So if you've been burnt, let it go. Forgive that person. That's huge as well, the forgiveness. I think Nelson Mandela said, not forgiving somebody and keeping a grudge is like you drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. And that really is so true. So forgive, and move on. And you see the red flags within the first 2 months of a new relationship. Mainly the red flags are there then, but we choose to ignore them. So I would say, especially if you're a woman as well, a woman's instinct, listen to your instinct. Don't ignore the signs.
Yeah, that's really powerful, isn't it? So as you're saying, and going into relationships and going, the further obviously down the line that you're in a relationship, the harder it then becomes to kind of, get yourself out and kind of get that not desire, but that want to kind of get into that pool again and kind of move on. I mean, I have conversations with people that, obviously that for me, the sex comes into it, because people will say, well, how do we, where do we introduce this, like into a new relationship? And then it's, as I said before, then you've got the kids. When do you introduce those into a new relationship? And I know from experience, from talking to people, how also things like dating profiles and how they can come across can give completely wrong messages that than actually what is meant. There's it's like telling the right story on this is actually not as easy as it is just writing a profile about who you are, right?
Spot on, Jessica, you said it. I mean, look, people mightn't like to hear this, but we have to tell the truth. Online, you're a brand. You are a brand, and you have to market yourself correctly and sell yourself correctly. And I mean, research has shown the pictures are 90% of the profile. The text is only 10%, yet that has to be correct as well. But, it's the pictures. And I see, a lot of men, they're thinking like they're men. They're putting up, the topless picture, what they think they'd like to see. And a lot of it is just, it's not, anything bad on their part. They just don't know how to project themselves correctly, to a woman. They're thinking like a man. So, a lot of it is just done wrongly, and they're not branding themselves right. So I would say that's a huge thing as well. And, even messaging online and keeping the passion alive online. People say to me, oh, but sure, even during COVID, we were messaging and there was nothing else to say. Online should only be used to cast your net wide and, seize their connection there and get off as quick as you can, safely, obviously, meet in a public place or, be safe. But you should meet as soon as you can, 4 or 5 messages, because there's such a thing as pheromones as well, the scent of a person. And we don't know that until we meet somebody. And we've our instinct and our 5 senses, and that all comes into play. And research has shown as well, people, like, for instance, one study, people put down exactly what they wanted in a guy, and when they met the person that they ended up with, they were the complete opposite. And research has proven that the attraction is actually built through the exchange of information, eye contact, that builds attraction, how the person moves, the tone of voice. So, that's what's so tricky about chemistry. It's not black and white on a page, ticking the boxes. So that's why online, should be used in a strategic way, really.
So that's really interesting, isn't it? Because I talk about and people are always shocked when I say this, when I say things like, when we're talking about intimate relationships, that we need to plan them, and they're like, you can't plan an intimate relationship, you can't kind of go and work this out as if we're doing a business strategy, but actually it's one of the most successful ways of building a really strong relationship and intimacy. If you both know what's coming and expecting and know what's going on, you can kind of build it much quicker and much more stable footings, right? So it's the same thing. You're building it in the right way. So it must be of being quite hard for anyone really who's been stuck inside for the last year of them moving out, because they haven't been able to then get to the point of going, we can take it offline. Is that the right way around?
Yes, yeah, you're right. And you're right in saying that as well. It's so true. It has been so hard for people. And that's why, I've been promoting the virtual dates, to have the virtual date. I mean, it's way better than the constant, 1,000 texts back and forth. You can't build attraction through that. You can at the start, but I mean, there's a limit. So the virtual date is the way to go. Put a time on it. Say, listen, would you be up for a 20-minute virtual date? There's no pressure on either party. Because women have said to me, how do I get out of it? We're in lockdown. I can't say I'm meeting my friend. I can't say that I'm going to work, So if you do that, it really takes the pressure off. And just you're for a virtual 20-minute coffee. Or if you've met the person and you've dated before that and there's a rapport and you've had a few dates, you can cook dinner together. That's what people were doing in the last lockdown. Then they were eating the dinner together, or, watch a film together. The guy will have his laptop open in his house and you'll have your laptop, or, Netflix. And it's just, that's what kills the loneliness, being in somebody's company. Having that person there, experiencing the experience with you. So, and just to be aware with the virtual dates, I say, Jessica, don't show up in your pajamas. Think of it as a real life date. You only get one chance to make a first impression. So, have no clutter in the background. Keep it short and sweet. Dating and passion is all about building anticipation, building the passion, keeping the desire.
Yes. And I love that, because you're right, because I think there's so much that's put on. I mean, this is from the experiences I've had and I've seen from people around me, from friends, things like that. And, if you're not careful, it becomes very much about the sex without it being about the building up of that relationship. And then there's perhaps too many rules on okay, well, you're not meant to do anything for 5 dates, or you're not meant to do this for 5 times you see someone, or, and the rules can kind of then get confusing, right? They can kind of build up and you're thinking, I don't know. And sex, great sex is going to be about that intimate moments and actually that build of that trust. If it's about the relationship. So, going through that and knowing that you can still do that even when you're having to do it virtually is great tools to have, right? Because you say you can't, we literally couldn't get out, and to be fair, even our relationships when we couldn't get out, we have the opposite thing, right? Where we're actually stuck on top of all of our partners all the time. That's a different conversation of how you actually then have date nights and you date your partner who's on top of you all the time. But I love that idea about a virtual date, because my husband used to go away for during the week, and it was always kind of there would be the odd phone call, but we never really thought about maybe doing an actual date night when he wasn't home. But I suppose that could be something that even those in relationships like that, where they've got a partner that goes away a lot, can actually make the effort to do as well.
That's a great idea, and I actually never thought of that, Jessica. Yes, great idea. And I always joke saying date night is, in my humble opinion, the answer to no divorce. I really, feel that. And I remember even Victoria Beckham saying years ago, I don't know how long they're married now, but when they were married, 10, 12 years, they asked her, what's the secret? She said, oh, will we go on a date night every week? And there was so much to that. And really, looking back now, even being married myself with children, I really see, she was doing the right thing. You have to carve out the space for yourself to have that own time, and to not talk about finances. Don't talk about the children. Don't talk about what's going on at school for the kids. Just a fun night to reconnect and be on your own together and just have your own time. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Because I mean, I think it's quite easy to to be around, when you're around the same kind of people, is making that assumption that that they know what's going on in your lives, and they also know what's going on up here. I always say it's a little bit like, we're not all mind readers, and we do need to make sure that we're communicating, what's going on, and how we feel more often than we do. Like, I think.
Yes, and I agree. I always say, people ask me, how do you keep the relationship alive, and how do you, keep it harmonious is the word I'm looking for. And I would always say that clear, respectful communication. Clear, respectful communication. Like, I'm a huge fan of just speaking your mind respectfully. Don't keep things to yourself. That's how resentment builds up. And that's, when you start going down the slippery slope. Whereas if you try and keep things good, at whatever level is good for you, whatever 8 or 9 out of 10, but none of us are going to be perfect, please God, it'll be 10 some days, but, with the stress of kids and modern life, it mightn't be. But once you keep the communication open, keep that standard of saying things are good with us, and keep the date night happening, I think, it's good. It does keep the passion alive. And also, I was talking about this during the week, the different interests people have. Like, if you have, with lockdown, we were depending a lot on our partners. Like you say, we were stuck together, but even if you get on the phone or have a chat like we're having now with your friend, even on FaceTime or whatever, that eases the pressure on your partner, that you don't look for everything from your partner, because it's a tall order, and us women, we need a lot, we need to vent, we need to talk to our friends, so I so definitely, if you have your own interests, your own life, that's what keeps the passion alive in the relationship. That's what keeps the interest there. So I think that's very important too.
Yeah, that's such an interesting, I love that. That's such an interesting way of thinking about it and looking at it. But it is, how we obviously have different needs in our relationships. And yes, I do have a need of sharing probably everything that goes on in my day and things like that. And, I'll find out things much later on in the week about something that might have happened, with my hubby and things like that. It's a much more not willing, it just kind of comes out. It just needs to come out. And you're right that actually there is a point where if you're on top of each other and doing that all the time, too much, had enough, shut up, woman.
I'm laughing, Jessica. I'm the same as you. I mean, the minute that my husband comes in the door, I'm like, oh, and he's been talking to people all day, whereas, I'm working from home. And he's like, okay, I need to debrief, I've just been in talking all day. So it's true, and, men do, talk less than women. I mean, talking is the feminine energy, listening is masculine energy. And us women, we need to vent. That's how we de-stress. That's how we connect. So yeah, I'm with you there, 110%.
Oh, whereas I did that. So I just wanted to talk about, we're going to just cover like one more point in the conversation, because I did put it in the notes and I wanted to talk to you about it, which was about how with dating, whether it's in straight away or in long-term relationships, about how we can build attraction around, and how you do that when you're working with your clients.
Yes. So, well, the first thing with the long-term relationships, I'd say just what I spoke about, keeping the desire alive, have your date night, have your own interests, be, multidimensional. Have your multidimensional life. That's what keeps things interesting. What do they say? Variety is the spice of life. So that's what I'd say with the relationships. With dating then, like online, when you're online, use the person's name in a message. When you're trying to build connection up in a message, people just say, hi, how are you? People love the sound of their own name. So, you know, say, hi, Joan, hi, Jim, hi, Mike. It's huge. You know, it personalizes the message as well. And pick something out of their profile. In the background, a picture, whatever, to make yourself stand out and to show genuine interest in the person, that, you know, they're special and you're taking note. And the other thing I would say, a huge thing, is get people talking about what they like in a message or in real life. It doesn't matter. This is across the board, because people feel good when they're talking about what they like, when they're talking about their passions, and they associate that good feeling with you then. So they think, oh, you know, I feel so good around Jessica. She was listening to me talking about my project that I like at work, or whatever hobby it is, you know, and they want to be around you then. So that's a huge thing. And like I say, keep the date short and sweet. That builds attraction, that builds anticipation, that builds momentum.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, the idea of I don't think I've ever thought about it. The name, I always find that interesting when people do that. Obviously with the name, it's not a habit of mine. And I never really thought about why that is. But you're right. When people sort of say that in a drop into a conversation with me, it does kind of make a bit of a difference, a bit more personalized touch. And yeah, I think even looking at and paying more attention to our partners' hobbies, whoever part of, you know, we are and what they've really enjoyed doing, is a really good tip throughout a relationship. I love that. And I think I'm going to go and take that one away today. That'll be my tip to take away from today's conversation. I love that. Thank you so much. So we're going to just wrap it up. We're going to, I'm just going to let, if you've got what's going on, where can we connect with you? If you've got any products or anything you want to share with us, please do.
Brilliant. Well, first of all, thanks so much for having me, Jessica. What a great opportunity, and I've enjoyed every minute. And if anybody wants to reach out to me, you know, I have a Facebook group, a free Facebook group you can join for free tips and advice. I'm on all social media platforms, and my website is www.franceskellehercoaching.com. I'm doing a brilliant program at the moment. It's called Find Your Happy Ever After. It's a brilliant program. I cover everything that we've talked about and loads more. So if anybody wants to contact me about that, I'd love to talk about that with you.
Amazing. I will put some links in with some posts as well to let everyone know that, so it's easy to find. So that's amazing. So thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you everyone who's popped on and listened. I know that Holly mentioned and said hi to us earlier on in the show, and yeah, so I will catch Frances a bit later on, and today we will sign off and say thank you very much, everyone, and we will see you later. Bye for now. Bye.
Bye.